This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. In-depth conversations with people who are making a difference in the lives of others here and around the world. Culture is at the heart of who you are. Know your culture, find yourself on Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Grand dawning, great rising, Cleveland, Ohio, and the rest of planet Earth. Welcome to another edition of Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guest is a number of things. One of the things that she told me is that she is a phlebotomist, but we're not going to talk about phlebotomy too much today. She's also a motivational speaker. I know that she's a poet. And she has a podcast, and she's doing a lot of great things, including getting up at the crack of dawn to have conversations with folks on Facebook. Welcome to Open Door with Vince Robinson, Carlee Davenport. How are you, Carlee?
Thank you. I am doing great, Vince Robinson. And thank you for that intro.
Yes.
I love it.
All right. So you are also known as Fell in Love with Carlee. Your website is fellinlovewithcarlee.com. So I got to ask you right off the rip, where did Fell in Love with Carlee come from?
We just going to jump in with both feet, huh, Vince? Okay. Mm-hmm. I love it. Fell in Love with Carlee came on the premise of myself rediscovering who I was. I had decided to go and get a divorce after 17 years of marriage, and it felt like I had really lost myself. And in the process of me rediscovering myself, I fell in love with myself in a way that I never had before. And in that space of being so vulnerable, I realized that it was my mission to share the blueprint that I had gained from the universe to teach other people how to fall in love with themselves, because I had fallen in love with myself first.
That is extremely powerful, Carlee. It puts everything in the context, and it definitely answers my question. And of course, we have conversations about self-love a lot these days, now that we're in what seems to be a new age, a new realm, a new form of thinking about ourselves as we navigate this thing that we call life. And one thing that I'm definitely aware of is the necessity to love yourself before you love anyone else. As a matter of fact, when I close my shows, my moniker is know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. So well, I think we're in alignment on a few different things. This is a show of biographical proportions at times. So I like to give folks an opportunity to let the world know about their life story. Some folks started here in Cleveland. Some folks started elsewhere and came here. What's the story of your life?
I actually started off young Cleveland, but I traveled a whole lot. So I spent time in Cleveland, in Atlanta, and I want to say by the time I was 13 or 14, I had traveled probably to 48 different states and to Canada, which is another country. So I come from a traveling family, so I'm a little bit well-rounded, let's say that.
48 states?
Yes.
What were the two that you missed?
Of course, I haven't been to like Alaska before, and I haven't been to, oh my gosh, see, my cousin will be the one to say, we haven't been here and here.
You've been to Hawaii?
I haven't been to Hawaii.
Okay.
There you go. That's on my list of things to do.
Okay. Well, you know, what's interesting about that is that those are two places that probably shouldn't be the United States in light of the fact that they're so far away from where we are, you know.
Yes,
but then
yes.
when you think about imperialism and how the United States is all over the world, then it kind of makes sense, but it really doesn't make sense that folks who live in Hawaii and have all the different cultural attributes that they have, you know, they have to include being American as part of their culture. But hey, that's a story and a rabbit hole for a different show. So how was it that you were able to go to all these different states?
My grandparents, who I'm named after my grandmother, Carlee Davenport. And so my grandparents, Johnny and Carlee Davenport, traveled, and for some strange reason, I was always with them. Um, so I traveled into Winnebago with them across the country every summer, and we just spent time in every state visiting whatever beautiful landmark that was there. And then when we got older, my mother married a pilot. Well, not a pilot. I'm sorry. He wasn't a pilot, but he did work for the airline. We got the places, and so we embarked on that part of just flying just to go visit other places as well.
Okay. Did you make it to most of the states in the Winnebago?
Oh yes, whether we were going there intentionally or broke down there, we we definitely had a good time while we were traveling as a family, though.
Okay. Well, that's really genius. I mean, if you take the hotel room with you, then you don't have to pay for it. You just have to pay for the gas to get from A to B. So that makes things a lot more, I guess, practical in a sense. Of the places that you visited as a child, which stand out most for you?
California stands out to me a whole lot, and I don't know why that Golden Arch of St. Louis, Missouri, that thing, it was something different where when I got there. I don't know if it was the fear. I believe that's what stood out the most to me, and it's so um a pinnacle part of my life to this day because I had such a huge fear of heights as a child. And when we went up in that Golden Arch, I remember not being able to breathe going up to the top and sitting on the floor and having like couldn't the anxiety was so bad that I experienced back then that I decided to conquer my own fear of heights. And 2 years ago, I literally had conquered that fear of heights and I went ziplining through the Dominican Republic. And at the last one, we did 9 zip lines, and the ninth one, I jumped off of a cliff. And that was my way of saying, no more fear of that. I conquered it on my own,
You jumped off a cliff
off a cliff.
into.
Into the trees and just through the air, and I had my cell phone attached to my chest, and I was the only one with service, so I went live because I knew my family and friends would never believe that I had overcome my own fear by myself. And so I went live and broadcast me jumping from zip line to that last one. And so I created my own magazine cover saying from fear to flight for 2022.
Okay, now I really have to understand this. When you jumped off the cliff, you jumped off the cliff attached to a zip line that went into some trees, or you just said cowabunga and jumped off? And,
A little bit of both.
okay,
So we had to climb up the side. We had to climb up the side, and we got to the top. It was still another zip line at the top, but it was so high up, we were over the palm trees. And so in the picture that was captured of me, you can see me over the palm trees and just in a ball, just flying across the sky. And it was just so liberating and so freeing because I had decided literally to change my own life, and I did it just changing one thought at a time.
yeah. Well, I really have to applaud your courage. I'm still trying to create a mental picture of what that looked like, but
It's on my Facebook page.
okay. Well, I'm on your Facebook page right now, so I'm gonna scroll until I can see that. 'Cause
Yes.
that's amazing. I want to go back to the arch, the St. Louis Arch. That's what you mentioned, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing to me because I never knew that you could go up in it.
Hmm.
Okay,
And when you get to the top, there's an observation deck, so you can look out of the top and over the whole state, and everything is so tiny. You don't even know it's up there, and there's like when I went, there's like a history lesson, so you can read the different plaques up there as well. It's beautiful, and I can remember it being so beautiful, but my fear was so ginormous, it almost took that moment away from me, and that's why it made it such an important place for me to travel. So today, I would love to go back and since I've conquered that fear and go to the top and look out without having that same anxiety that I had as a child.
Okay. So at any point, did you make it to New York and the Empire State Building?
I did. I did go, but I didn't go to the top. Not back then. I
Okay.
wasn't even going to try.
Okay. And you know, since you've gotten over that fear, now you can go to Chicago. I think the tallest building in America might be in Chicago, I believe. Not maybe right about that, but I think it is.
Well, I'm going to take it a little bit further for you because my next desire is to go airborne. So I would like to jump out of an airplane and just feel that air. I want to see how free and liberating that is. So, yeah, I'm at that place right now
Okay.
where literally the sky is the limit.
Yeah, literally, sky is the limit.
Literally.
So the next question is it going to be a tandem jump or a solo jump?
It's got to be tandem.
Okay.
It's got to be, at least for my first jump.
Yeah. That's interesting. I was watching something online and somebody was asked a question about, what's the craziest thing that you've ever done? And the person who responded to the question said, yeah, I jumped out of an airplane. Teddy did it 3 times. So there must be something to that. I know a great friend of mine did it on his birthday. It may have been his 60th birthday, but he jumped out of a plane and he has the video evidence of it. I'm also thinking about the difference in the time frame. I mean, how long was the zip line ride?
I don't know how long that was. I'm going to say maybe about 2 minutes from one side to the next,
Mm-hmm.
But we did 9
Okay.
all together. And as we went from each one got higher and higher. You had to climb. And that's another thing. I don't really like being outside like that. That's not my thing. But in the Dominican Republic, the outdoors, I was just so drawn into it. I was okay to hike up the sides of the mountain with the animals like right beside me.
What do you think that comes from, your desire to be inside rather than outside?
Allergies, honestly. They're different when you're here than there. That's one thing. And the other thing is when I was a little girl, I didn't go outside a whole lot. I was the only girl. So my mom was like, you can't go outside. Like everywhere I would go, somebody was going to just snatch me up. So I stayed in the house. So now that I'm older, there's certain things that I desire to do that's like outside activities. I just don't hang outside. So.
Okay. Well, that might explain the whole fear paradigm, because when you were younger, you were fearful of things. And then as an adult, you decided or realized that you needed to get over your fear of things. So aside from the allergies, maybe your universe can open up. And, that is in case the World Economic Forum does not get what they want, because their idea of people experiencing life is to put on a set of goggles and travel the world, but not leave their homes, because the carbon footprint is such a dangerous thing, and all this other kind of stuff that they're kind of feeding us. Interesting conversation, and again, I applaud you for your courage, because going up when being afraid is a very difficult thing to do. We're going to resume our conversation in a few moments, but I'll just remind the listeners that you're listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. I'm speaking with motivational speaker, podcaster, and many other things that we'll talk about when we get back right after this. This is Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Hi, I'm Detective Brown, and I am a police officer for the Cleveland Division of Police. Are you looking to make a difference in your community like I have? Do you want a good, solid job with great pay and exceptional benefits? If so, why not consider joining the Cleveland Division of Police? Because we are accepting applications right now. I have been a police officer for 5 years, and I enjoy it, and there are over 50 specialized units here in our division. We have great incentives. We offer a $5,000 sign-on bonus and reimbursement for your OPATA certification. The Police Academy pay increased to almost $25 per hour. And if you are a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces and or hold a college degree, you will receive additional salary incentives. Are you interested now? If so, please call our public safety recruitment team at 216-623-5233 or go online to clevelandohio.gov/jobs. Apply today and join our team.
This message was brought to you by Cleveland Public Safety Department and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Ohio, a new choice for Medicaid is here. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. The name you can trust because we're the plan that plans on everything. From 3 a.m. fevers to life-saving medicines to care wherever you need it, even the unexpected. We've been caring for Ohioans for over 80 years. So choose Anthem for your Medicaid plan. Visit anthemohio.com today.
This was brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield Insurance and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United. Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson and my guest, Carlee Davenport, also known as Fell in Love with Carlee. And she told us in the first segment that she was married for 17 years and then she discovered herself. Let's talk about this, the power of self-discovery, because it seems as though your mission is to wake folks up to the power within themselves. Can you talk about the further inspiration of Fell in Love with Carlee?
Absolutely. Like I said, I spoke on it just briefly on the first segment about a lot of the fears that were kind of given to me as a child. I realized as an adult that they weren't my own fears, that they come from my parents or someone else's fear. The fear of going outside, or the fear of doing too much, or the fear of maybe being too much because it's too much for someone else. When I wanted to do something, I tell somebody, this is what I want to do. I always want to do this. And they say, oh, no. You should possibly go do something else. Like, that's too much for you, or you can't handle that type of success. It wasn't me that couldn't handle the success. It was the person that I was speaking to. I knew that I had to get outside of their comfort zone to push my own self. That's where my self-discovery started. Like, when I realized that their fears were slowing me down or hindering me from growing. And it was causing anxiety for me. It was literally causing anxiety in my life. And I decided to go and start conquering each fear that someone else had given me so that I can be a better version of myself. And when I figured out how to do it, I decided, you know what? And it wasn't just me to decide on my own. I got to be honest with you, Vince. I have a beautiful young lady who's my daughter. Her name is Bajay. And she said, Mommy, the things that you teach us, the things that you teach other people, the world needs to know that. The world needs to understand that they don't have to live a life of fear. And the world needs to understand how to get beyond that. So she started creating my shows for me and showing me how to work the technology just to get my presence out for other people to see.
How old is your daughter?
She's 14 now, but I've been doing this for a couple of years. And she's been the wind beneath my wings, from asking me to do these different workshops at her school. It started at her school. Well, Mommy, my classmates need to hear from you. Then it went to social media. And so a lot of times when I post and I do this.
When you post in what?
She's the visionary. She's the one that will go and actually get behind me to make sure these things are done a certain type of way. She understands technology in a way that I don't. So she makes sure that it's a presence out there for me.
All right. So she's your engineer?
She's my engineer.
Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned a few things about how folks were basically dream killers. Was that the issue in your relationship with your husband?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely. Bless his heart. But however, Of course, he was not a visionary. Everybody is not raised the same way, and everybody don't have the same level of faith. And some people are raised to just go to school and work for an organization and get a paycheck, and that's just it. Well, I was born different. I was wired different. And I knew that I had something else to offer the world from the time I was a little girl. I was an entrepreneur baking cookies and selling them at school. So I knew as an adult it was something else about me. It just became my motivational speaking. It became my voice, the very thing that I was teased about for my whole life was my voice.
Okay. And talk about your parents, because you mentioned that it was your grandparents that kind of facilitated your global perspective. And obviously, if they were grandparents, perhaps they had reached that age where they didn't have to report to a job and they could take the liberty of, leaving the state and taking you around the world. What was the dynamic between you and your parents?
Well, that's a little different. I didn't quite have a great relationship with my parents. I didn't know my father growing up. I thought my brother's father was my father. And it wasn't until I was 12 or 13 that I found out that he wasn't. And then I met my real father. And later on in life I developed a relationship with him. Um but I had a stepdad, and my stepdad was like who taught me what it was like to be loved the right way, like taught me how a man is supposed to treat you and everything. And he was a wonderful person. And that's the one that actually took me traveling a lot as well. He invested a lot of his time and energy in me. And I'm so grateful for him because he helped me to understand my value as a young lady. As a mother, my mother's point of view, it was different. We had a very difficult relationship. And I honestly, um, had to thank her because our relationship was so difficult. It made me soul search. As a kid, always wondering what is wrong with our relationship. I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me as a person, and to fi- to have to experience her as a mother. And it may sound mean or something, but it's the truth. And so in my soul search, it made me go into me to observe me and to do like an inner child healing type of process and to forgive like the way that she handled me or mishandled me. But through everything, I had to go back to her and I told her, thank you so much. Like, I gave her so much gratitude because at a point in my life, I realized that the way she treated me or handled me, it forced me to go outside of the family circle into the world and make my mark there. It's like I didn't care about the acceptance of my mother or the siblings or the people that was in that small circle. I
Yeah, your signal kind of dipped out on us. Could you repeat what you just said?
okay. I realized that the world was so much bigger than just her and whatever the bubble that she was in, the world was bigger. And everybody that I came in contact with loved me so much and adored me so much and appreciated everything I had to give. So I knew it wasn't a personal issue. It was something personal about the other person.
Yeah.
I didn't take it personal. I didn't take it personal anymore. And I had to tell her thank you because it forced me outside of my own comfort zone to be a stronger dynamic person for the world. And I appreciate her for it.
And I'm having to imagine that impacted your relationship that you have with your daughter.
I don't think so. When I sit back, and I can say this much, it was kind of difficult at first because I didn't know what the dynamic was supposed to be with us. When I had a daughter, I wanted to have a better relationship than I had with my own mother.
Right. That was the point. It
Yeah,
was it something that caused you to say, well, the things that my mother did to me, I'm not going to do to my own.
absolutely. I feel like I did the total opposite. I became overly supportive and overly um celebratory because I didn't get that, so I kind of smothered her a little bit. And so I had to let them know, okay, I apologize for smothering you so much, but it was just that gratitude and love that I wanted from mine. I wanted to make sure I gave them everything that maybe I didn't get.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that certain things that your mother did were an impetus for you to do things a little bit differently. You also had grandparents that poured into you. Can you talk about the value of relationships with our grandparents?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. My grandparents. Yeah, give me a quick second. My grandmother and my grandfather stayed with us for a short period of time in their lives. And my grandmother adored me. And in a way that as an adult, to go back and think about all the things that she did and the ways that she handled and cared about me, it just, even you asking me that question, I had to take a minute to just gather myself, because she just really loved me so much. And I never understood the type of love that she had for me. Like, it wasn't until I was an adult and my mama has said something to me that I realized how much she really, really, truly loved me. And I'm so grateful for her, because she started me on this journey of travel and of really not caring about what the world says. Like, she danced to the beat of her own drum, and she was so before her time. And it makes me feel like unapologetically that her name pushed my name even further, because she was already before her time, so it made me before mine. And I'm grateful for that part. It's an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm. What did your grandfather do for a living?
Oh, my grandfather was in the Navy. He also worked for TRW. He was a head chef. And I believe he ran his own catering business. My grandfather did a lot. And he used to make wine in the basement.
Mm. Was it wine for sale or wine for consumption?
Well, you know what? They never let us all up in the business like that. But I do know that they used to drink quite a bit of it. I'm not quite sure if they were bootlegging it or not. But children were to be seen and not heard, so I don't know anything about that. But I do know they enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, you had to pay for that gas to get you to all 48 states, so perhaps that was part of the motivation. But it also goes to prove that, contrary to popular belief, we ain't lazy.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And not all of them are broke either.
Right. So let's honor our ancestors right now. You mentioned your grandmother's name was your name. What was your grandfather's name?
My brother is named after my grandfather, so his name is Johnny Davenport.
Johnny Davenport. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I want to talk to you about one of the detours that you took in life, and that is the world of phlebotomy, because some folks are scared of needles. Some folks are scared of the sight of blood. And you mentioned the fact that you have issues with allergies and so forth and so on. And at some point in your life, you decided, oh, let me try this. I want to know why you tried and you became a phlebotomist, in addition to all the other things that you do. We're going to talk about that when we return. You're listening to Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM, WOVU, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio. We'll be right back.
Ohio is our home, and it's full of family we're proud to care for. With more than 200 locations, Cleveland Clinic is growing to bring world-class care to your community. From Canton to Avon, and coming soon to Mentor. Whether it's sniffles and sneezes, or something more serious, big or small, we're always near you. For every care in the world. Schedule your care today at clevelandclinic.org/access.
This message is brought to you by Cleveland Clinic. and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Belcar Community Radio.
Koshin Meats is a family-owned business that has served the Cleveland area for over a century. Their staff can help you select specialty cuts of beef, poultry, pork, and other items you may not find in an ordinary grocery store like frog legs or wild jerky. They also offer a wide variety of breads, deli meats, cheeses, spices, and other specialty products. Conveniently located at 4058 St. Clair Avenue near East 41st Street, Koshin Meats is the place to go for all your cuisine needs. Call 216-881-7677 for more info or visit KoshinMeats.com. This message was brought to you by Koshin Meats and Marketplace and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, Burton Belcar Community Radio.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson and the conversation with my guest, Carlee Davenport of fellinlovewithcarlee.com, named after her grandmother. Her brother was named after her grandfather, Johnny Davenport. Sounds like a cool name, you know, sounds like a cartoon character, Johnny Davenport. So you mentioned to me in the pre-interview that at some certain point in your life, you became a phlebotomist. How did that happen?
Okay, so now you're going to laugh. So I'm pretty colorful, as you can tell already. I mean, Lord. So what had happened was, you know, when a person start off like that, it's about to get good. Right?
It's about to get interesting.
It's about to get interesting. So as a little girl, I always wanted to be a phlebotomist. I don't know why I had this whole infatuation with drawing blood. And so I couldn't wait to go draw blood, and I think it came from being drawn wrong, like from having different phlebotomists as a child draw me the wrong way because I was hard to stick. I wanted to create this comfort zone for people. Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make sure it doesn't hurt people. So one of the things you're gonna see with me is like I'm a problem solver. If there's a problem, I want to go do something to correct the issue. So I wanted to go help. And so I became like this badass phlebotomist. And I called myself, you know, the certified vampire because I love to stick people.
Well, you know, it's funny. I was actually thinking about vampires as you mentioned your love for that. But why were you having blood drawn all the time?
I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. Why was I always getting as a kid? That's a very good question. I don't even know, but I did have quite a bit as a little girl.
Well, you know, they use blood as a diagnostic tool in certain cases. So it could have been that you were going through something and they say, well, you know, let's take a blood sample and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, you were having this done enough to be uncomfortable with it. So it had to be traumatic to the extent that you wanted to do something about it later in life.
Yeah, I wonder, because back in the day, I don't remember how they used to check for strep throat, if it was through blood or was it just culture, because I do remember having a lot of that too. And I still had a lot of allergies back then that were so bad, and they could have been trying to figure out what was going on. But I don't remember exactly, but I did have quite a bit to make me want to say, hey, when I get older, I want to make this more comfortable for other people. Mm-hmm.
So you were a phlebotomist within the space of that 17-year marriage?
Oh, yes.
Okay. But I was thinking that maybe he inspired you or he pushed you into that because it was something that would create income, but actually it was a decision that you made for yourself.
Oh, yeah, because, you know, excuse me. Actually, his idea of a wife was a housewife. They weren't supposed to work.
Okay. So,
yeah, so.
He wanted to keep you barefoot and pregnant.
You can say that. You really can say that. And I just became more of an entrepreneur, and I started baking and catering and, you know, event planning. So I decided to work from within the house and still be self-employed so I can be a part of the family and not be away all the time on someone else's schedule.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious. I'm an inquisitive person, so forgive me for that. When did the light bulb go on in your head that made you decide this isn't working? Let me try a different path.
With the phlebotomy?
No, with the marriage.
Oh, with the marriage. Okay. That light bulb went off a couple of times. And the final chapter for me, it was, I want to say that last child of mine. It was just like, okay, no more children. I don't, it was just, I just, it was just something about me that realized that I was with somebody that in order to be with them, in order for me to be with the person I was with, they would have to change too much about themselves for me to be happy with them. And I felt like it was unfair of me to ask this of this person, or for me to put myself in a situation where I'm just with somebody where we really have absolutely nothing in common. And I decided to give us both an opportunity to go and get with someone that would really appreciate who we really were. Every attribute of who I was, I at one point wanted to change it to make another person happy. And I decided I don't want to do that. I don't want to just not be a happy-go-lucky person all the time. Or I love to entertain, and the other person didn't. So I want to bring all the guests in and have this beautiful dinner with the china, and they're irritated. But that's my happy space. And I didn't want to keep forcing this other person to be in my world, and I didn't want to be forced to be into their world. So I decided to allow them to be themselves and find someone who absolutely loved him for who he was. Like, you don't have to change anything about you. And I explained it to him before we got our divorce, that he really deserves somebody who loves him just the way he is without asking him to change. It was unfair to him, and it was unfair to me to try to fit myself in his world.
And how did he take it?
Of course, he was not happy because he just felt like he can fix it. And I knew it was not fixable. We are literally night and day. And when you're with someone who continuously call you words like bougie, or tell you that you think you better than, or they cannot understand the type of things that you like, and they say things that make it seem like the fact that you may like a particular car or a particular type of food or outfit or something, it's belittling to you, then this person is not, they don't understand that value. And so someone else would appreciate the fact that you may like this type of wine to drink a wine, or to drink out of a wine glass. It's not a problem for someone else. Just those simple things. So I didn't want to transform him and to make him into what I wanted him to be. I wanted him to be comfortable in his own skin, but I also desired to be comfortable in my own skin.
I think it's beautiful that you wanted the best for him. And again, curious person. What was his astrological sign?
Aries.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so based, and I know what you're gonna say, right? Like, so.
Well, no, actually, Aries and Aquarius are a good match. So we can't blame it on astrology. We have to blame it on personality. Yeah, go ahead.
I knew that you would say that they're supposed to be a great match, but we had other people that were all involved in the relationship that should have just mind their own business, or I feel as if we had I don't know, it would have taken a lot of growing up and understanding both ways for that to have worked out, but it wasn't necessary for it to happen that way. And I'm happy that it didn't work out, actually.
Yeah, because, you would still be in that place of wanting to change somebody who doesn't want to be changed, and being miserable, and them being miserable because they can't change you, So what you said, about self-discovery, and about happiness, because you cannot rely on other people to make you happy. You have to be happy within yourself. And Carlee, I will tell you that you give me the impression of being a person that is happy with themselves.
Thank you.
So,
And I am, and I appreciate that.
yes, yes, yes. Okay, so now you can answer the question that you thought I asked, and that was when the light bulb went on in your head to decide, well, phlebotomy ain't for me anymore.
Okay. During what happened was, as a phlebotomist, I felt like, I don't know, some people call God their God, universe, creator, whatever they want to call it. I felt like it was time for me to release the job in itself. And I didn't. And I just didn't want to, because it was a comfort zone at this particular time. I know how much money I'm going to make, and it's just easy for me. And I knew what it was like to be an entrepreneur. It's really, everything is on your back. Whatever you do is what you do. What you don't do, you didn't do it. Well, what happened is I got in a car accident. I got in a really bad car accident, and I was rear-ended on the freeway, and traffic was stopped. But the person that was coming behind me didn't realize traffic was stopped, and they slammed into me. And it left me with a horrible concussion, and I couldn't see and I couldn't walk. And in this moment, I was still married, and it felt like this concussion made me feel like an awakening. It literally felt like I bumped my head and I woke up and I looked around and I didn't recognize this man. I knew who he was, but I was trying to figure out how the hell I ended up married to this person for 17 years. We have absolutely nothing in common besides these children. And I'm at a job that I shouldn't be at. It was just like an awakening for me. And it took me a while to learn how to even stand up, because it messed up my back. I couldn't hardly see, so I couldn't do the phlebotomy. And I was in the house, like literally couldn't see anything. Even with the shades drawn, it was too much light for me. In that moment, I really felt like I had possibly been in a coma. And that's that's the only way to describe the feeling. Like, I had been in a coma for so many years, and I had just awakened in that moment with that car accident, and didn't understand how I had gotten into a bad marriage and into this job that I liked, but I didn't really like, and into this space that was just different for me. And that's when I said, hey, I'm about to get this divorce. Hey, I'm about to get this done. All the things that I really wanted to do, it was time for me to start doing them one step at a time. And then COVID hit. Okay. And I got an opportunity to sit down. And my God sat back and talked to me. It's all these things I can do to make money. Not going to be a phlebotomist. And I said, okay, well, then what's my next venture? And I really got quiet with the source to find out what I need to do, because the next thing I do, I want to make sure that this is what I'm supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. And my Fell in Love with Carlee was already my name, but it was in that where it really, the creator showed me, your biggest asset is you. It's not that you can bake. It's not that you can cook. It's literally you. It's the words that come out of your mouth that heal people, that help people, that you've been doing for decades and you have not monetized. But now it's your time to use this part of you because you're ready.
Yeah, that's a very powerful testimony. And so I want to shift gears and talk about the motivational speaking aspect and your podcast and the other things that you are doing to bring your message to the people. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM, WOVU, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Ohio, a new choice for Medicaid is here. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, the name you can trust because we're the plan that plans on everything from 3 a.m. fevers to life-saving medicines. So choose Anthem for your Medicaid plan. Visit anthemohio.com today.
This was brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield Insurance and WOVU 95.9 FM. Our voices united. Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Yo, what up? You already know what it is. Your boy DJ Chris Dawes. Yo, I got some important information to give you. Are you a resident living in a rental property or a landlord of rental properties within the city of Cleveland? Have you heard about the lead safe prevention efforts in Cleveland? Do you have questions about lead poisoning and why prevention is important? Don't know where to start? Don't know where to get help? Well, there's good news. There's training that is perfect for you, and the Lead Safe Resource Center is here to help answer all your questions. This training presents information on the Lead Safe Cleveland Coalition, the resources and teams available to support you, along with great information on who, what, when, where, and why for all things lead poisoning and prevention. And listen up, there's more. If you register now, you're eligible to receive a gift card. Yep, there's one gift card per adult attendee. Those interested can sign up via Eventbrite or by calling the Lead Safe Resource Center at 833-601-5323. That's 833-601-5323 and ask for Ashley Dunn. Thank you for listening to WOVU 95.9 FM, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station.
Life is starting to get back on track, and you can too. If you or your family have experienced financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, Tri-C can help with full tuition assistance. Safely get the in-demand degree or training you need with online and on-campus classes. Go to tric-edu to check out our programs and resources. So, what are you waiting for? Register now for summer classes. Tri-C is where futures begin.
Hi, this is Tara LaWanda Aaron. You're listening to WOVU 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. I'm having a fascinating conversation with Carlee Davenport, also known as Fell in Love with Carlee. And we're going to talk about her platform. She is on YouTube. I'm sorry. Well, maybe you are, but you're also on Facebook every day, maybe at the crack of dawn. Tell us about this message that you deliver on a very frequent basis.
I am actually on YouTube as well. I'm across mostly all of the social media sites as Fell in Love with Carlee, except for Facebook. I'm Carlee Davenport. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, what you call the crack of dawn, I am live for what I call my 5-second rule. And my 5-second rule is really 5 minutes of motivational speaking. I speak to people from a space of right after my meditation, time with my Creator, and I give what He gives me. What I'm supposed to give to the universe, I release it into the universe, and I just believe that the right people will receive the words that are given to me to give out.
Okay, and so just looking at, because I'm looking at it on Facebook right now, I can see you got a classy setup. You're not doing it in portrait mode, which is what a lot of folks do if they're just IG folk. But you also mentioned monetization, and I think with folks like yourself and myself, at least this is my perspective, it's not so much about the money as it is about the message. So we may not have 1 million followers or 2 million followers. We may have a small circle, but the idea is to have an impact on those that are drawn to our platform. What would you say about that?
I agree, because it's always been about the people. And so when my Creator talked to me about monetizing on that, this is what this is for. It was kind of like a conflict of interest in my spirit for me. It was hard for me to understand what He meant. However, it's just to align you in the right spaces to do things in a different way. I still put the Creator before everything. Like, I get up in the morning and I do that 5-second rule, because that was placed in my spirit to do this 5-second rule every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning for 5 minutes. And some people that are in the numerology, they understand that the number 5 represents grace. And so at 5 o'clock in the morning, God gives me grace to get up and give grace to other people that are going to be obedient to come and grab it. So for me, I believe that if you build it, they'll come. And I also believe that when you do and when you go with the flow of the Creator, then you will receive what you're supposed to receive from it. You don't have to go and beat down anybody's door for it. It's going to come to you.
Yes. It's really important, I think, for folks to understand that we do live in a universe of abundance. But if you have a mindset of scarcity or a mindset of lack, you'll be stuck in it. I'm just thinking about what you shared in terms of that collision that literally shook your world. It was like the collision knocked some sense into your head, or it disrupted the eternal loop that you were in. I saw a video a couple weeks ago. Was an animated film. It was a very dystopian film, and it characterized this person who lived in this really small apartment, and it was like it kind of reminded me of a military base, and so you have barracks and you have these small compartments that everybody lives in, but his daily routine was his alarm would go off somewhere between 8 or 8:30 or whatever. He'd make himself a cup of coffee. He'd walk out onto his balcony and look out, and then he would wave at somebody, and you didn't see who he was waving at, but he would wave at somebody. But then you had these drones that were monitoring everything. And I mean, it was just, again, it was a World Economic Forum picture perfect type video, because this is what they want to see as reality for us. But, his food was delivered to him, and it was probably the same thing every time. They showed him watching the news and getting the dictates that were coming from the government about the potential lockdowns. And, you have to wear a mask if you step outside. And if you stepped outside and you didn't have your mask on, then the drone would show up and zap you with something and tell you put your mask on. It was just really kind of disturbing, but it just reflected this daily routine. It's like some of us are like lab rats, and we go through the same thing every day, and we don't really get to experience the beauty of life. And as he was sleeping in his bed, he would have dreams, and his dreams would be of him being somewhere on the other side of the world in like a paradise, on the beach, or, driving through the mountains or whatever, enjoying life. But, when you look at how things are right now, this is just my perception. It just seems as though they want to limit us because it's their mission to so-called save the planet by restricting everyone's activity. But on the other hand, what are you depriving people of? And what you are depriving people of is the experience of life in its fullness. And this is what we have to connect to, our ability to experience life in its fullness and not be so controlled and so regimented in the way we experience life.
Absolutely. People can get so stuck in their normal day to day. And that's it. They get stuck in that space, and they don't even realize there's something more to life. And that's why I said to you, I literally had to change my life by changing my mind. I literally changed my mind. And people think, oh, I just changed my mind. It's like it's something small, but they don't understand how big that is if you literally start doing something different every day. Pick something that I always turn right here. Start turning left. Start doing things just a little bit at a time differently, and they can change their whole life.
What kind of feedback have you been getting on your broadcasts?
I get amazing feedback, and it's so funny because it's always people that I don't realize they're watching me, and they're so prominent, and I'm like, it's just some days when my phone ring and these people are on the other line, or I get a DM from somebody, and it's like I didn't even know you were watching me, and it just makes me cry because I get so full, not knowing that these people are just really hanging on these words. and it just makes me understand that it's not in vain. One thing that the universe always says to me, and I always hear it: if you build it, they'll come. Like the field of dreams. I always hear that, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna start doing this, and I don't really know how to do it, but I do know this is what I'm supposed to do. And because I know it's something I'm supposed to do, I just do it. And I don't care if it comes out what I would think is perfect. I do it because I know it's what I'm supposed to do at this given time. And it always turns out to be something way more grand than I could ever expect. So now I'm used to expecting the unexpected.
Well, it seems as though you have discovered the power and the benefit of living in your purpose.
Absolutely.
Yes. So in light of the fact that you are delivering this message at 5 o'clock in the morning, are you one of those folks who goes to sleep when the sun sets?
Yes, it feels so mature for me. So it's I go to bed so early nowadays, and people call me like, "Girl, I called you." It's like 8, 9 o'clock, and I see a missed call, and I'm knocked out. It's like I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning most of the time.
Wow.
So I go to bed early. I take it very seriously, and when people want to go out and kick it, I'm like, "Look, I have to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning," and they don't understand why I'm so dedicated to it. I'm dedicated because I feel like the Creator wouldn't put something in my spirit to do it if it's something that is not that I'm not supposed to be dedicated to.
Well,
and I believe in the law of attraction. If you build it, I do believe in the law of attraction.
Yes.
I'm going to keep putting it out there, and I'm going to keep putting it out there, and the right people are going to see who I am because I'm going to do it. No matter what, no matter how I feel, I'm going to be live even if I'm crying about something that's going on because that's my true raw part of me.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I have to applaud you for just having the discipline to be able to pull the covers over yourself at 8 o'clock in the evening. It's difficult for us night owls. You know, I've often aspired to be that 5 o'clock a.m. person, and I also realize that there is something significantly spiritual about being awake at that hour. So obviously, you're getting the benefit of that. And then the second thing is your human growth hormones, because they function at their optimal levels between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So if you go into bed early like that, then your body is repairing itself in a major way. You combine that with fasting because you're sleeping during that period. So there's a lot there. Lesson that I learned from Dr. James Brown, who was a holistic practitioner and also an allopathic retired doctor. He was a doctor of gastroenterology. But among other things, I learned from him yoga, qigong, and meditation. Are any of those things in your repertoire by chance?
I do know some yoga. I don't practice it like that. I was involved in mixed martial arts, and I want to say it's still the art of breathing and that controlled breathing and that relaxed movement is pretty much the same to me as the yoga when you get to those different formations and everything. So, and I work out a lot too.
Yeah, you've discovered the joy of exercise, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I see you're getting into it. Tell folks how they can connect with Fell in Love with Carlee.
Well, you guys, you can connect with me. My name is Fell in Love with Carlee. And it just spell out Fell in Love with the same way you would spell it out. There's no tricks in it. And Carlee is spelled Carlee. I'm across all platforms: TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And on Facebook, I'm Carlee Davenport. My website is fellinlovewithcarlee.com.
All right. So if you visit the Facebook page, you can see the videos that she puts up. And you won't have to be on for an hour or 2 hours like some of us who do hour-long and 2-hour-long broadcasts. But you can deliver some very impactful information in a very short period of time. And we applaud you for doing that. Carlee, I want to thank you for being my guest on Open Door and wish you all the success in the world, and keep doing what you do and making a difference in the lives of others.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right. And to those of you who are listening, as always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your absolute best day. Peace.